check it out. Yeah, you know I'm always fierce in the fashion that I wear. I be stunting on my peers. Diamonds glare, make them steer. In the vert, switching gears. Moving forward, never rear. I don't even look in mirrors. Yeah, you know I'm always fierce. Garments in my closet so fly. They need a passport. Fabric imported from Indonesia. Need a visa. Popping tags at my leisure. Shift gears, two-seater. I don't care if I'm on a bus or a 10-speeder. You will never catch a mega in a dusty.
Ho, ho, ho.
Hey.
What's up?
What's
Hello, y'all.
What's up, everyone?
All right.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, and welcome to Fierce Entertainment Live, episode 28, our holiday edition. I'm Rob Henlon, aka Naughty Santa, joined by my little sister. What? My little sister Jessica. What's up, Jess?
Hey, everybody. Merry Christmas.
We got her. Yeah, we got the star, the snowflake herself, Starr Dalton. What's up, Starr?
Definitely looking like Christmas right now.
Yes. Wow.
Evil Elf, Mr. Matthew Cooley.
What's up, everybody? Happy holidays. Welcome to the show.
Yes.
Oh, man. So once again, before we get started, I got to tease Matthew. I got to zoom in to see what's going on over here. All right. So what we got going on, Matthew?
We got everything going on. Why not?
Oh, my God.
It's a lot going on.
Clothes.
The mannequin got clothes. Yeah, the mannequin. At least the mannequin's not naked. I like that.
Got clothes today.
Who are those kids in that tree?
Not your kids.
No, not my kids. Not my kids. Oh, man.
Oh,
All right.
shoot.
Cool. So, Matthew.
Yes.
Oh, no, go ahead. Oh,
I was
what's up,
going to shout out Mr. Pineapple, Terrence Ramsey. Thanks for tuning in.
What's up?
Hey.
What's up?
Yes.
And so, if this is your first time joining us at home, you guys definitely comment. We'll bring you in. We'll bring you into the conversation, make you part of the show. And, you know, just like Terrence Ramsey's Mr. Pineapple over there in Tampa, St. Pete area, fashion designer, right? We definitely want you to participate in this and check out our YouTube channel at Fierce Entertainment. Subscribe. You're going to check out a lot of our previous episodes, as well as some of our footage from, different events that we produced in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is your first time here, welcome. This is a happy hour vibe. So definitely comment below like what you're doing for the holidays now that it's with COVID and everything. What do you plan on doing with your family?
Yes.
What you're not planning?
Oh,
Let us know.
We want to know.
We want to know. And it's interactive. Like Rob said, it's an interactive show. Get involved, make comments, tag your friends, and share. We're going to pull you right on into the show.
That's right. Oh, man.
Yeah, don't keep the fun to yourself. Share.
I'm going to make plenty of comments.
You're going to make plenty of comments. We're going to get some comments. Matthew's going to get some comments today. I know that.
Yes, that green eyeshadow popping. We better hear about
I
that.
love it. So
All right.
glittery.
Guess what, guys? So every week, what I like to do is check on the nationalcalendar.com and see what national day it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So guess what today is?
What?
Tell y'all, it's National Ugly Christmas Sweater Day.
Wow.
National
That's
Ugly
actually today?
It's actually a day. They got their own day. And according to the nationalcalendar.com, since 2011, it's been a thing that's just grown into actually an international event. So it's the third Friday of every December. And it's something that's happening now worldwide. So in honor of National Ugly Sweater Day, I put together a little video for you guys. And I'd like to get your opinions. I'd like to get your thoughts and opinions on those on the sweaters in that video.
Okay.
I better not be in any of these videos.
Not in this video. Not this time. This time you're not in any video. This is just a collection of sweaters, ugly sweaters. I want to get you guys' opinion. Which is your favorite one? So pay attention.
Okay.
Okay. All right, y'all ready?
We ready.
Let's check it out.
All right.
Pretty cool.
You started so good, Rob, and then it went downhill from there.
It took a dark turn. It did take a dark turn. But I told you I was naughty Santa today.
That Santa was on the top, taking care of his business, sitting on the chimney.
That was your, right. That was your favorite one? Santa Claus sitting on the chimney?
That's the one that stood out the most. How dare he?
I like the one with the wine bottle and the stocking. You just like add a straw to it and just like lean over a little bit.
Yeah, it's just holding the baby right there.
Oh man! Hey, poor Matthew. I saw Matthew in the back, like, no, Rob, no, Rob. No.
You got the one Santa bent over with the thong hanging out in the back. I'm like,
Do you remember when that was a thing? Like everyone was wearing the low cut jeans, and then they would see their thong in the back.
We call that the whale tail.
The whale tail.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, it was all fine and dandy till people stopped washing them, and then it started being a problem.
Oh my gosh.
Oh Lord, Rob.
Yeah. So once again, if you're at home, this is a happy hour show. If you haven't figured it out yet, this is your first time tuning in. We like to have a good time. We like to kick back, relax. This is Fierce Friday. Is everybody sipping a little bit of something? And I got a confession. I made this drink. Look at this. I said I wanted some chocolate, some dark chocolate, but I didn't feel like going to Walmart and buying some hot chocolate. So I looked in the counter in the thing, and I saw my daughters had some cooking chocolate and some other chocolate in there. I said, man, I know how to make hot chocolate. So I melted it.
No, you don't.
In a pot, and I poured some almond milk in there. I poured some rum, spice rum, and then let it simmer for a little bit. And then that's what this is. But it's kind of thick. It almost stuck almost glued my bottom mouth.
You're back to
Uh-huh.
So I'm drinking coquito from my good friend Lori from Puerto Rico.
Ooh.
And I added a little splash of vodka. I know, right? Coquito has rum in it and like cream, But I added some vodka because I wanted to make it a little stronger. So, and shout out to my friend Philip, because a few months ago he left this bottle of peach vodka over here. He left this bottle over here, so I've been drinking.
So was he coming back for it?
Well, he ain't come back, so
Give it to him.
Hey,
I
just
tried to give it to him at Fusion Fest.
blame it on COVID.
He wouldn't.
Oh man. So let's get into Friday folklore.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh, what's that?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
What's up? Welcome to Friday Folklore. So we're gonna go into like holiday superstitions and mythology and everything. Last few weeks we talked about the food of December and like what it represents. Also we had the plants and everything, like the Christmas tree. We had the holly. We had the mistletoe and everything. So to wrap it up, we're gonna get into the icons of the holiday season. So let's get into it. So as you saw in the video, there's a couple different, dynamics going on right now. You have Santa Claus, who actually came about, around 270 Common Era in Turkey. He's actually a bishop from Moriah in Turkey. He evolved into, he had like so many like evolutions that kind of added to his story and everything as to what we see as a common day Santa Claus. The biggest icon evolution was back in 1930 from the Coca-Cola company, who wanted to have something that people could remember the Coca-Cola company by. So they gave him the red and the white cape and or the robe and everything, but it actually comes from earlier traditions and everything. But through evolution and people wanting to borrow ideas and everything, he just kind of evolved into that. But further than that, we actually have the Greek version of like what everybody saw, and the Krampus is known as not really as like the demon or like Satan and anything. He's actually Santa Claus's helper. He teaches kids to be good and everything. And the elves actually became, part of like Santa's little workshop from, what Krampus was. So the elves started off looking like Krampus with the horns, like the hooves and everything. And kind of, through evolution in history, they kind of like changed to make it more, child friendly and everything, because who wants to have, little horned demons coming down your chimney with Santa Claus? I don't know. And then we get into the Nordic regions where they have St. Lucia and the Star Girls. So St. Lucia is from 304 BCE, and she's a beautiful girl who had like the one with like the and just commemorating like the Northern Lights and everything. Fun fact too about Santa Claus: reindeers are actually, all the males, they lose their antlers in November. So they'll be flying around the sky. They're actually females. So there's not any male reindeers who have antlers on in December. So
Wow.
Queen. So
Rudolph, you said Rudolph is the drag queen?
Rudolph's the drag queen. So.
Wow. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. That's cool. Gotta give credit is due.
Yes.
Right?
That explains why Prancer's always prancing around like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's amazing. So many facts. So many facts just in the video and just what you broke down. Like I feel like there's so much for us to learn.
Definitely like learning in through it. I was like, wow, there's so much more that I could like dive into, and like learning that, you know, about Christianity and Jesus' birthday being, you know, either in March or September rather in December for religious reasons, because of the Roman Empire wanted to make it more conducive for them versus actuality. It's really so if you guys want to learn more, hit me up on my Instagram at Noir Folklore, and I'll be glad to let you know.
Wow. Interesting. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, after that mental visual, let's get a little bit of mental wealth. Let's bring in our first guest, Mr. William Jefferson.
All right, let's bring him in.
Yeah.
What's up? What's up, Mr. William Jefferson?
What's going on? I'm happy to be here with all of you people.
Thank you. Welcome to the show.
We didn't scare you too much.
No, you didn't scare me at all. You didn't scare me at all.
Okay. So which one of those sweaters was your favorite sweater? That's what we need to know.
You know, all of them were quite ugly, but I don't know. I don't know if I had one that stood out. I think Santa Claus doing what he does best on the roof stood out the most.
Oh, man.
His constitution.
My house. That's the reason my house doesn't have a chimney on it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So William, so we met you. So I met you. You're actually one of the members of the Martin Luther King committees, the Mayor Deming's Martin Luther King committee, along with me. And you know, we got to talking, and one of the things we were trying to get you closer to the election, but it's still relevant with the stuff that's going on now, because one of the things that you brought up in one of our committee meetings is that the importance of the mental wealth, the mental health, how people are going to be dealing with the aftermath of the election, regardless of what side they're on. You know what I mean? And so we wanted to bring you in to talk a little bit about, you know, some of the points that you brought up in the meeting on how how we could deal with it, and some of the stuff that you do with Valencia College.
Yeah, so we can all attest that this election period has been one for the record books, right? It's something happening. It's always like something new. Like, when is this going to just, pass us off? But one thing that stands out to me is that we have to take care of ourselves. Despite this transition, despite where we are as a community, we have to move together in connection. And it brings me to the point that we are more connected than we are apart from one another. And if we can honestly take a step back and just say, what connects us as Americans? Family, the pursuit of opportunities, just having the ability to have certain freedoms that other places in this world, they don't get the opportunity to have. We need to draw strength from that. So yes, if we can take care of ourselves, take a moment to press pause. I had to do it for my own family. Like, we're not going to entertain CNN and these other networks. We're just going to get very close to one another, and we're just going to find the value and the strength in one another.
Yes, I agree. I love that. I love this segment, Mental Wealth, because it brings these topics to light where we can take care of ourselves. And we've talked about that, and it's a good reminder. Turn off the news. If you're watching shows back to back to back, you're going to get sucked in. And it's hard to look away, but it weighs on you. So you got to take those breaks to not get caught in the cycle.
Exactly. Yeah, your mental health is far more important than just who's going to occupy that seat, right?
Yes.
You have to live past tomorrow. And waking up to our shared humanity says that I find value in you, even if there's something different about you, a different belief.
Yes.
Draw some strength from you versus me throwing you away. Because we can all, sit back and think of times where somebody didn't recognize us. Somebody didn't value us. And we know the damage that happens when that happens. And we feel those feelings. So let's not make people feel bad around this Christmas holiday. Let's literally change this narrative of hate and fear that has been pushed to a positive one of love and acceptance and belonging.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He said
Belonging. That's and what a great message to end the year and just kind of close out that whole election cycle. A great way to close that and to move forward with love, connections, and recognizing each other's similarities, our differences, and appreciating that about each other.
And a good thing that I've kind of picked up on where I've read too is like if you're on social media and you're kind of like in a dark place and you're reading comments, you just want to be negative about it, like nasty about it, hit the like button on whoever's picture or the heart button, say something positive about it, because it can change your mindset as well as, give them the affirmation that, they may need. So it forces you to just rethink and like reprogram yourself versus, going down that dark hole of like negativity.
Yeah. I love it. Great stuff.
That's amazing. So William, you also, your day job, you work with credit repair, right? Tell us a little bit. That's your company, your business. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I have a credit repair company, and as we all know, is you can't do anything if your credit is in the gutter, right?
Right.
We have to push this important conversation about credit repair. And what I do is I get to change lives. People come to our services after hearing no multiple times on things like getting a car or getting a house or a simple thing of getting a credit card, things we take for granted. People are hearing no behind it. No is so devastating. Like, how do you go back to your children when you know you want a home and your credit will not allow you? You have the income, but you just can't get it based off of your credit. But we have to do that hard work. And what I do is say, no shame, no blame in our credit repair process. Life deals us lemons, we're going to make lemonades out of them. And we're going to open up a new pathway for you to get in here and get active. Because the world is yours, but you have to start with good credit.
Yeah.
And so for people that want to get in contact with you, they could do so with your on your Facebook, right? Your Facebook page is Jay's Credit Solutions. We got it scrolling at the bottom there. Is that correct?
Yes. And when you reach out on that page, put a note to us to say, hey, I heard about you on this broadcast, and there's some promotionals that we will offer you all just for tuning in and saying, hey, I'm paying attention to what Rob and this wonderful crew is doing. And we'll make sure that you all are taken care of. I'll tell you this, and I don't share my story often, but in credit repair, I think transparency helps you understand it. I'm not talking about credit from a perspective that didn't have bad credit. I had terrible credit, right? When I looked at my credit, my lowest credit score was a 418.
Wow.
I'm looking at y'all faces. 418. It was my lowest credit score. And I remember feeling so embarrassed. Like, who am I going to reach out to help me with, this? And before I knew it, I started doing this research and I started sending out letters myself. So you're talking about somebody who was able to jump his credit from trial and error in 8 months, 268 points.
Wow.
And now you're looking at somebody that has over 850 credit score.
Wow.
So there's nothing that credit can't get you.
Right.
Right.
That's awesome. So I'm gonna highlight my good friend Starr. Starr, one thing about Starr, she has always been serious about her credit from the day I met her. So she has some exciting news kind of related to what you're talking about. So I'm gonna kind of put her on the spot to see if she wants to share and how she values credit so much and where that gets you.
Yes. I've been on the low score myself. But but I worked really hard and I got it fixed. And then today I was able to purchase a home. So definitely got the credit done. And the papers today. So thank you guys. My question to you as someone that works with a credit, does it matter what stage the person is with the credit? Like it's starting to go down? Does it matter? They have to be like already rock bottom to seek help, or when it's starting to decline?
No, so you don't have to reach rock bottom to get credit repair done for yourself. All you have to do is want better for yourself. You can have good credit and move to exceptional credit. There's tiers to it. So person with I call it the low side of credit. When I refer to it with me personally, I talk about the basement side of credit, right? Way down in the gutter. But don't get discouraged because I was there, and I'm a living testimony that you can get out of that process. You can get from out of those low scores into something that when you walk onto a car lot, nobody says you can't have anything. But they'll come out to you and say, hey, any car out here on this lot you can have. Or you can negotiate when you're getting ready to get your house, just like Starr, you can get the best interest rates possible.
Right.
You don't have to settle for high interest rates and high PMI insurance and all these things that are determined from where your credit score is. You can live a life enjoyable and start building that wealth for your family to leave your legacy. That's what credit is all about. If you're not trying to leave a legacy, leave your credit alone. If you want to leave a legacy, fix your credit.
Definitely. That's dope. That's dope. I like that.
Right now, the rates are so low, 3% and lower. The best time to buy a home.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I learned about credit from a crackhead. So I can tell you.
How does that happen, Rob? Like,
I'm serious. So this was like in the 90s. This was way, in the 90s. And I met this guy, he was on the street, and then, I thought he was crazy, but I like to talk to anybody. And so then he started dropping knowledge. It made sense. So he was like, if they, the white man trying to take away, he's trying to kill you because you're not going to be able to buy nothing. I was like, what you talking about? He's like, money. This is before like credit cards and everything like it is now. He's like, money started to disappear. You gotta have to have, plastic. You gotta have to have a credit card to buy anything. Your groceries, all of that stuff. You gotta have to buy a credit card to get indoors. You're gonna have to have because they turn in these keys. So this is before and now they, how you go in the hotel.
Yeah, the hotel keys. Yeah.
He was talking about, but see, he knew about it, but he was saying he was aligning that with credit. So saying if you don't have credit, you can't get in the door.
Right. But that's kind of true. I mean, to book a hotel, you have to have credit.
That's what I'm saying.
So, yeah, it's true.
So he was smart, he was ahead of his time, crackhead. Y'all listen to y'all crackheads out there. Y'all just walking up. They got a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
Did he turn into like Dave Chappelle?
Yeah, that's too much. Too much. Bigly, what's his name? The crackhead had to say, yeah. Oh, so anyways, William, thank you so much for joining us, man. I know you got another obligation you had to get to. We appreciate you spending some time. We want to definitely have you back on the show, and we'll chop it up another time. And
definitely.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah. And so once again, if you know somebody, and that was a great question by Starr. So even if you have good credit and you want your credit to be great, you could contact him. And, we just had a brief conversation and he schooled me on some things that just blew my mind earlier today. So yeah, definitely reach out if you have any concerns with your credit. If it's not an 800 or above, then you might as well reach out.
Wow.
Yeah,
and before I go, I want to just share this one thing with you.
Yes.
When we talk about credit, most people think you only have 3 scores, and it's going to blow your mind. You have over 7 scores at each bureau, and they all do different things. So do the research to know what is moving your credit, what's hindering you, because you have mortgage scores, you have bank card scores, and you have auto scores. Learn what the difference are and see where you are with those.
Wow.
That's good. So we hire you, Oh, I hear that echo now. So, so if we hire you, it's like hiring a lawyer, right? You like almost like for your credit, because you could represent
Exactly.
you could get
represent us.
Definitely, I can represent you.
Yeah,
I can represent you. I talk to these collection agencies on your behalf, because what they don't tell you is that collection agencies are going to take advantage of you. And if you don't know how to talk a certain language when you're on the phone with them, they will verify that debt from you saying, yes, that I'm Will Jefferson, or yes, I'm this, or whatever the case may be. Yes, I'm Jessica. That yes, it shows up in other verifying tapes that says, yes, this is my debt. Yes, I plan to pay this debt. There's a trick to it. So you need to be well prepared when you get on a call with a collection company.
Wow.
Serious.
That's crazy. Yeah. Well, now you know 7 scores. 7, that blows my mind too, because you just heard about the 3 major ones, right? The 7 scores, and each one does a little bit of something. All right, man.
Wow.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for dropping that knowledge. And yeah, once again, we'll definitely invite you back on the show anytime.
Definitely. Happy holidays.
Yes. Happy holidays. Take care.
Sure.
Bye.
Wow. That's pretty good, man. That's amazing. But that's what we're all about. You know, we want to entertain you, but we want to educate you as well. So we bring different people on, from entrepreneurs to entertainers of all genres. So
yes, and he covered my mental wealth segment for me. That's amazing. When you have other people doing your work. Holidays.
I will. So I use Credit Karma, the app and everything, and anytime it goes up or down like a point or whatever, they'll send me a message and I'll just like zip on there like, okay, what's going on? What's where are we at? And it's very helpful to see like where you're at and like what you need to improve upon. And like he talked about the 7 like aspects of it. It does show like the breakdown and everything too. So it's
wow.
Really
yeah, it's pretty good.
Is that a free
yeah, Credit Karma app
Oh, it is free?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know a lot of the banks as well will include that. Banks and or credit cards. I have Navy Federal, and they help you track your credit, and then Capital One, which is a credit card. But they do try to keep you credit-wise. I think it's called credit-wise, where they try to keep you aware of what's going on.
That's cool.
What's up? Cool. Well, let's get into the merch of the week. Let's talk a little bit about the merch of the week. And then we'll bring in our next step.
Okay, so everybody knows I love our merch. I'm always wearing our shirts, our sweatshirts, you name it. So my new favorite, I know everything's my favorite, but we have a new mask line with the Fierce Lions.
Ooh.
Everybody already loves Fierce, but the lions make it that much cooler. So it's stylish. They're double layered. So right now it's pretty chilly out, so it'll keep you warm. Yeah, style wow. Stay warm.
I love
and
it. So it goes all the way down. It is true. It keeps you warm. It goes down to your neck. Cover. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Last couple of days been freezing. Ooh, I needed that.
Yes. Okay, so I could get black and red.
Which one?
And you get it at alwaysfierce.com, by the way. I didn't reference the website.
Let's look at it again. Which ones are your favorite? What color is your favorite? Let's look at them. Yeah.
The black is hot. It really pops. I love that one. I always love red. I don't know. I just love them all. Actually, don't ask me.
I love the green and white.
You love which one, Matthew?
The green and white one.
There's no green.
Okay, green. No, green is one, white is another.
Matthew, that's not green.
Yeah, that's
green.
like
What is it? Looks green.
It's like an army green, gray. Is that gray?
Gray.
Yeah, that's gray. That's gray.
Oh, it has a green hue to it in the picture.
Okay, I can see where you think it's green, but
yeah, I thought it was army green.
I'm gonna tell you, he got that green stuff on his eyes and it's messing up. That's why.
Everything is green.
Everything is green. Oh man, cool. So okay, the white. I'm just trying to get a quick poll just so I can know. So, well, and you guys comment at home. Tell me which one you guys think is the best. So, Jessica, which one did you think?
I like red or black. Red and black.
Yeah, the black.
What's the one next to the red one? Is that like brown or like burgundy?
It's like a burgundy.
Crimson, yeah, burgundy. Burgundy, I would say, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cute.
Okay.
You need to get a pink star.
Dennis likes the, and he says purple. So, and we're gonna bring Dennis on right next. So pink. So Starr, I got a question about the pink because
I love pink.
I have a pink one coming out, but I had I didn't design it. The pink with the gold, does that match, or do you like? I think the pink with the black logo stands out a little bit more. What do you think?
I think they both would be hot. I
Really?
want to see it. To see how they pop.
All right, I thought. Yeah, I like the gold, the pop on darker contrast, darker color.
I could see white or black on pink.
Okay, so I got the black one coming out with pink just for Starr.
Oh, shit.
Really?
Is the lettering
Again?
Is the lettering black on the pink?
Everything. It's the pink. Is the black variation of the logo.
Okay.
So you know how we have the variation.
Metallic or just flat?
Is black, like flat black, but it's trimmed in gold.
Oh, cute! I like that.
Okay.
So
Love it.
We'll see that one. That one's coming out this week.
I'm excited.
While y'all talking, I'm getting the drink.
Right. Yeah, you like sipping, taking big sips.
I'm taking big sips.
Yes. Yeah.
All
right.
You're parched. There you go, parched.
Right.
Well, let's bring in our next guest, Mr. Dennis Amadeus.
All right, let's do it.
Dennis. I just really appreciate the way life works and how whatever you're destined to do is ultimately going to come out at the end of the day.
These days, it's rare for the average person to exist on this earth for all 80 of their years and come to an understanding of what their purpose is. So how blessed I must be to have been able to find mine in this.
Sentenced 5 years of waiting on the bus. The true punishment of my license revocation was 5 years of being forced to walk through 90-degree Florida sun to sit on a bench and wait on a bus that is now 9 minutes late.
I've been denied for jobs, teaching positions, mentorship opportunities, and just doing poetry in the classroom. One time, a principal actually called the sheriff to come escort me out of the school. And his words to me were, I would be a fool if I let anybody talk to my kids for the record like you.
When my brother's dark side was finally exposed, his secret identity died along with his invulnerability. He no longer had the luxury of Clark Kenting his loved ones from his pain, and an S on his chest became a permanent indicator of his fight against doomsday.
My power directly comes from everything I topple that they use to try and break me. Each of these tripped up hurdles is just a lesson, a reminder to myself to never settle for second.
Understand what it's like to be viewed as something you yourself can't see. They bring them checks into their background and leave them at risk of what? At risk of becoming like me? But if that's the truth, then they're at risk of becoming free. At risk of learning through strife, changing their life and redefining what the label at risk means.
And that's why I believe so much in the power of poetry. That's why I believe so much in the power of community. And that's why I believe so much in our young people.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing, man?
Good.
Happy Friday.
Thank you for having me,
man.
It's always so interesting watching that video, man. It's like, because it's an older video that I put out. And at the time, it was already me collecting a lot of what I was doing at the time. So to watch it, it's kind of like watching myself grow up. This art grow up. You know what I mean?
Different hairstyle. We got short hair.
You went from the short hair to, good stuff, man. So you're another artist that we met at the Fusion Fest, and you've been there. You've been part of the Poetry Slam every year that we're there. You're a participant, and very dope stuff that you always drop. So I got, so I have an important question. to ask you a very important question. How do you remember all of that stuff that you be talking about? Sometimes you be going off. How do you remember all of them?
A lot.
It becomes a muscle memory. It's kind of like a sport a little bit. You know what I mean? Like in the same way a basketball player's body becomes naturally attuned to just being on the court and certain moves. After you memorize and repeat and recite and memorize and write and memorize and write and memorize so many times, it just starts to become easier, and you don't forget the old ones you memorize. You know what I mean? I mean, they may get rusty, but you can run through it a couple times.
Right.
So it just becomes. I find myself. It's so funny, right? Because I have ADHD, right? And I also smoke a little weed. You know what I'm saying? So
You in Colorado?
My short-term memory is actually not that good at all. But the one brilliant spot of my memory is my ability to memorize lyrics or poems or things like that. Like, and it gets better and better. Now I feel like, depending on how long something is and how much I'm passionate about it, I could write something and memorize it within like an hour. You know what I mean? And
that's amazing.
That's
Wow.
That's a great talent. That's a talent you see also with actors. I mean, I don't even think actors can memorize that fast, but I always envy that, the fact that they can memorize scripts. I just don't understand how they do it. So it's amazing that you can do it so quickly.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think acting's a little different. Like I said, I'd have to read. I couldn't memorize a whole script in an hour. You know what I mean? Like, if it's 16 bars, if it's a minute long poem, something like that, it's pretty short, I could probably memorize it and deliver it fairly well within an hour. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Let me ask you this. So since you mentioned 16 bars, do you rap as well?
Man, it's funny I said that. I rap is in my blood. It's something I enjoy doing. It's not something that I chose to make my career path because I think it's very saturated market. But if I feel the need to express myself in that way, I'll do it. You know what I mean?
Okay, so got skills.
Okay,
and it's the easiest way to bridge sometimes. Because
is it the same? So is there a difference between rap and poetry?
There is for me. I think the difference becomes in the intention of the craft. So I think poetry and rap are both a form of art. And I think for anything to be art, there has to be some intentionality behind it. You know what I mean? To create a piece of art. And I think with spoken word poetry, the intentionality is to create powerful moments. You know what I'm saying? Whereas for hip hop, it's the same thing, but it's a little different. It's more punchier. It's more rhythmic. It's more closer to music. It's if that makes sense. The art form is a little different. But the thing is, they both cross over. So there's talents and things that happen in both sides. It's really about the delivery. But like I said, I feel like spoken word poetry or poetry is in a sense delivering a narrative, right? And then hip hop and rap is more like lyrical play. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
it's like, if that makes sense. And for me, but I think that's a very open-ended question because of how close the two art forms are. So if you ask somebody else, it'll be a different answer, you know?
Yeah, so I actually used to rap. And
I knew that was coming.
They laugh. They think I'm joking. Well, I actually used to rap. But I used to write my raps in a form, so they were poetry that could be rapped. If that makes sense. You see what I'm saying?
It makes perfect sense. I think because I teach poetry as well, right? And so I know a lot of the what they call form poems, which is like these poems that have a structure. So in a way, I feel like rap is just a form poem, right? It has a specific structure. Like even in sonnets, there's a way to measure the rhythm of what you're saying, right? It's called iambic pentameter. So you're supposed to deliver a sonnet like did it. You know what I mean? And I think hip hop is like a form poem where it's like 16 lines, A-B, rhyme scheme. You know what I mean? It has its own set of rules and structures, is what I'm saying. But yeah.
Wow.
Nice. I like how you broke that down.
Yep.
I'm trying to take it all in. Dang. So what got you into doing like spoken word and everything? Like what was like the kickoff for you?
This is, I don't want to get too long-winded here, but
we got 30 minutes.
So it's crazy. It's just at the time I had nothing else, man. You know, like there's a lot of things that led to it, but I was in a place in my life where you know, I couldn't finish the school. I had gone to school, graphic design school down here in Tampa for 3 years. I couldn't finish because it turned out to be a predatory home school, right? And so they sucked all my money up early before I could finish my actual degree, if that makes sense. Wow. And now they got sued later on. The blessing of that is I actually don't owe any student loans to them anymore, but I still got the knowledge that I learned. So there is but at the time I couldn't finish my senior year of high school. So I had just moved to Florida to change my life, you know, 3 or 4 years ago earlier from New York, because I was getting in all kinds of trouble and stuff up there. So I just felt like, you know what I mean? At the time, I felt like I had nothing else to do. I tried my hardest to change my life and do better, and I couldn't find the way. And so I was like, yo, I'm just gonna do whatever I want. And I ended up meeting this guy on a bus, man. And he was in the same situation as me, and he ended up being a rapper, and he did this open mic. And I went to his open mic, and for a month, it was like just me and him rapping, and nobody showed up. We just were 2 rappers on the mic for a while. And then that venue the next day was like, yo, we have an open mic that people are actually going to be at if y'all, you know what I mean, come through. But now I was nervous because it was easy to rap when there's nobody in the audience. I didn't want to rap when there was an audience. So I was like, well, what do I know is going to be good? And one thing I did know at that time is I had a gift for writing and poetry, because even when I failed in other places in school, I was successful in poetry all the time, even at an early age, like 7th grade, you know what I mean? 6th grade even. But so I ended up just taking a couple poems from what I wrote in my creative writing class from college at the time. And I ended up just performing those poems at that open mic. And they were a little bit of a hit, not a super big hit, but they were like, oh, people were like listening. And then so a comedian came up, man, Krishna Reddy. I always remember this. He was like, yo, have you ever heard of Poetry Slam? And I was like, no. He was like, oh, it's like a competitive poetry where you could win money. And I was like, win money? Like, I was like, you can do what? And then it's funny, I asked him, he was like, yeah, most people perform, they have their poems memorized though, and you need 3 poems. And I was like, well, where is it? And you know what I mean? And he told me where it was. It was literally the next day. I'm telling you, I walked to that venue, 2 hours, walked to the venue, memorized 3 poems all the way to the venue. And my first poetry slam, I ended up tying for first. You know, wow. And like I say all the time, that was the first time in my life where I did something really good, really exceptional without working so hard. Like for everything I did in my life, I had to work really hard to be like mediocre at it. But that I was good at. You know what I mean? Like, and the love I had got, the community that I received, the way people gave me attention and love in a way I never felt before was so positive and uplifting. I was hooked from that day on. And so the fact that I didn't have school, I didn't have no career path, I didn't have anything, helped me focus the next 2 years only on writing, only on poetry, only on performing. And now I built a career out of that.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. One thing when you perform is like that sets you aside from a lot of people is like you put so much heart into it. Like you can just tell that it's just like, oh, heart. I love it.
Yeah. No, thank you, man. That's a gift, and it's just my ability to be free. That's where I feel the most free. So that's where you're gonna get. And I'm you can tell I'm a very extroverted, emotional, open-hearted kind of person already. You know what I mean? So it's just a beautiful art form to translate that in a healthy way, you know.
And it's such a great, outlet too, because it's creative therapy, and 2, people look at it as like, okay, it's just poetry, but it's actually mental engineering that you have to like structure yourself a specific way and to think like, okay, you can't just like, cat, bat, hat, whatever. It's like a whole, situation, story, and you have to put your feelings into it versus like, okay, I need to get to the end of it. So I get you.
Hey, don't be dissing Dr. Seuss.
Look, rap name used to be chocolate pudding, so there you go.
He said my rap name used to be chocolate pudding.
Yes, sir.
Till Bill Cosby came around.
There you go.
Oh God,
Oh, goodness. Can you drop something for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I can. I'll do a shorter one. Sorry, I left my ringer on. If home is where the heart is, then success lies in the gardens of our souls. Many savor the flavor, but only few can make it grow, because it's a dirty job in a hot climate. But you are a hungry farmer. The sweat from your brow is what waters the fields of your dreams blossom, even if the dirt is dusty. It'll soon be the dust and mouths at the gate, watching you eat from the fruit of your labor and not the offerings off their plate. For you, there's no such thing as hate, no such thing as haters, just disgruntled fans who looked up to see if you would give up, but instead you picked up your baggage, then checked it. Now get ready to fly. And just remember that even in the air, you still have to grind. Still have to lift each step out of the dirt and crud. That's what we mean when we say get it from the mud. Get it how it comes. Get it how you live. But never give up. The seed is always more important than the flower, just never as beautiful. Be you till they're full. Then grow. More nutrients for your soul. That's where success lies. Home is where the heart is. You deserve a home-grown meal.
Yes.
That brought me another question. You got to do this, and you're not allowed to clap.
You got to do this. I remember, like way back. Well, you're not in Orlando, but there was a place. I think was it called? There was 2 places downtown where they would always do poetry nights. I used to love that. One was called Lualoa, and then I forget the other one. The other one was upstairs downtown somewhere. But I mean, those were that was a jam. It was a whole vibe to it.
Right.
Yeah, I miss that.
I mean, it's a beautiful art form. It's a very accessible art form, right? But also when it's honed well, it's a very powerful. It could be one of the most powerful art forms. You know what I mean? To make a real impact. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. So you work with kids. So can you tell us, like, how do you inspire them, get creativity out of them? Like, how does that work?
Same as right here. It's mostly just telling my story and being honest with them. You know, I think a lot of times when we think of young kids, we think that there's some different species that we have to talk a different language to, but that's not the case, man. They're just, you know, they don't have certain experiences, obviously, but they understand basic things like pain and hurt and love and happiness and joy. And, you know what I'm saying? And their stories are important and matter, and the things they experience are just as real as us. So I think just coming from it with that angle all the time, they feel that, you know what I mean? And so it's not as much as forcing them to be creative, but just helping them realize how important their stories are and why it's important to tell their stories. And then from that, using that enthusiasm that they have to like guide creativity. You know, and be like, all right, now here's the way you could do that to make it dope. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of the direction that I always take it with, and it works. It's been very effective. You know what I mean? And again, I think, you know, if I'm being honest, if I'm being real, right, I feel like there's a divine covering over it. I think I'm very blessed in the work that I do with young people in this art form, because it's one that I take very seriously in that aspect of this is work that's bigger than me and my paycheck that I get from it. You know what I mean? It's just it's important work. I know how certain tidbits of messages that people when I was younger that they gave me that stuck with me for my whole life and blossomed when I was older. And so the opportunity to be able to do that and have real impact is not something I take lightly. So I do got to pay a lot of homage to God and things that I've been blessed with and you know what I mean? Because it's always God that comes through or I feel it's God that comes through in those moments when it's time to teach and make a real impact and know what to say at the right moments and how to guide somebody when they're going through something very hard and tough. And, you know what I mean? Anyway, I didn't mean to go wrong.
That's good.
I actually thought about it today.
Let me point out something real quick, because you see Jessica keep doing that, but she can't snap.
Yes, I can. It's not loud.
Snap. Let's hear me. Let's hear me snap.
I feel the energy.
I think Starr was saying something.
Jessica cannot snap, y'all.
I just asked what age groups do you work with?
I do any age group that, you know, I mean, if there's somebody who kind of needs it. I mean, with the young kids, I would like, it's harder to do that one for free, let me say, because, you know, it's not that it's harder to do. It's just like, it's not as fun because it's way more rudimentary. You know what I mean? It's like with high school age kids, I could be real. We could be real. We could talk about real shit. We could talk about what's going on. We could talk about real emotions, real experiences. And sometimes the younger kids, it's just, you know, it's just not as deep, you know, and it's easy. I could do it. You know what I mean? But it's just, it's not as fulfilling, I guess, for me in that way. But like, I'm just trying to get them to learn rhyme and put a story together, you know?
Right.
So it's typically high schoolers, yeah. High school age.
Okay.
That's cool.
So you did one rhyme at the Fusion Fest. You did one poem where you talked about your German side and your African American side in the battle, and you know, saying, can you share a little bit about that and tell us about it? You know, what was the driving force behind it, and man, that was powerful.
Thank you, man. So yeah, I would love to talk about that. So I'm actually not a citizen of America. I'm actually a German citizen. My biological father is actually my biological grandfather is actually from Mali, Africa. So, you know, I'm a German African, and you know what I mean, in that sense. When I came to America, my stepfather was in the Air Force, and that's how I ended up in America when I was really young. So when I was about 5 years old, I ended up in New York. Not New York City, but maybe 2 hours away from New York in a town called Port Jervis. So, and so for my whole life, now I want you to think about what I just said. And then I want you to think about the identity crisis that comes with being biracial, immigrant in a foreign country with none of your family. You know what I'm saying? And so the identity battles that I have and still have is just real every day, right in front of your face all the time. You know what I mean? Like, you are not related to these people. You are not, they don't know who you are. They don't need to care about you. Like, that's constantly, you know what I mean? So you have to finding your people is a lot different, you know? Now, the beauty of it is I did have, I was lucky to be raised on Bruce Street, where after, it was very tough in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, but it was a family that embraced me and treated me like family and took care of me in the hard moments of my life as I grew up. But in general, I'm getting off course. You know, the identity, the racial identity crisis that I had was constant. It was all the time, you know, especially because I look white. You know what I mean? That's the other thing. It's like I'm a white passing person in some instances. So like growing up, especially when I grew up and I had like, my hair is all the way out now a little bit, but like when it's like this, I kind of look like just Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, you know what I mean? And so you know, I also had this very big loyalty to Black people, right? I went to a majority white school in this kind of like small town, you know what I mean? Small white town. And I kind of got this other side of understanding how white people felt when they thought Black people weren't around them. And so that is what kind of builds my understanding of the racial, social atmosphere of America, is that upbringing. And so long story short, you know, the identity crisis is real. It took a long time for me to be able to say, one, that I'm a Black man without like feeling shamed or feeling like I'm lying or perpetrating, or, you know what I'm saying? But I'm a man who benefits from a lot of white privilege because I look white, and I have, and that is also just as real. That's just as real. You know what I mean? And so I also don't suffer from the same ways that a physical Black man suffered. Like, it's just a different experience, you know? But for some reason, my life also follows these real core tenets of Black communities and Black culture in America, you know? And so that poem was basically emerging of that. It was accepting, understanding my culture, my heritage from my bloodline, and then two, me also accepting what that looks like in this world that I live in now in America, you know? And like I said, it's an everyday struggle. It's still something I deal with now, you know what I mean? Even saying I am a Black man, it doesn't feel right, but I'm not a white man either, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I want to say that biracial people should have their own race, but then that is erasure to to other races. So it's just like a lot. You know what I mean? It's a lot. But for the most part, I just try to be myself in the purest way possible and let that be what it is. You know what I mean? And that's paying me off. So, but that poem was the first poem that I ever wrote about my race where I was proud. You know what I mean? Every other poem was about a struggle or about dealing. Every other poem was about struggling with my race or, you know, dealing with the complexities of it. That was the first poem that I ever wrote where I was proud of my race and proud of who I was and proud of what I was.
Mm-hmm. Well, good. That's important. Yeah, that's important.
So your thoughts, you know, you bring up so many interesting aspects. You know what I mean? And you know, so here, my question to you is, what are your thoughts about how America, the United States, looks at race versus other countries? Because I think there's a difference. There's a slight difference.
Well, here's what I will say. Here's what I can definitely say for sure. I think America looks at I think the American lens of race is through the lens of white people. You know, I mean, that's just what it is. All the power structures are based on that, you know, and you see this, the aftermath. That's just the reality. Like, regardless of whatever conspiracy people want to make up or whatever denial, like, you just cannot deny what is real and what is right in front of us, which is like there is a clear racial issue that happened long time ago that was never rectified. I come from Germany. They had a clear racial issue that happened a long time ago that was immediately rectified and never again allowed to happen on a systemic level across that country forever. You know what I mean? Like, it was taught in our German history is taught that, yeah, we did this horrible thing to this group of people and we have to make sure we never do this again. You know what I mean? That's not the reality here. In America, it's like, well, you know, let's just get along now. You know? And it's just brushed over all of this trauma, all of this inconsistency, injustice, and it's not realistic for white people to think that we could just brush that shit over. Like, what is wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I've been drinking a little bit, so I'm getting a little. That's just the fact of the matter. That's how I see it as. I think it's so blatantly obvious. It's just embarrassing that just now Black Lives Matter is okay to say. That's fucking embarrassing, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
And it's okay to say, but it's still controversial. It's
Nazi flag. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna elaborate though. It's okay to say Black Lives Matter, but the fact that it's still controversial to say it, you know, is interesting as well, because you know
let me see that.
It should be like a kind of, you know, is not a controversial statement. You know what I mean? It's yeah, but you know, whatever.
Right. But I think like that's a great example. And I mean, I was gonna go on another tirade to be a German person and see Americans raise a Nazi flag. It's no. But they don't realize how stupid they are. They just do you know how dumb you look on a like outside of the scope of your very small perspective? How stupid you look raising a Nazi flag? You're a dumb person. You're a dumb person. I don't care how intelligent they may seem.
Right. Well, I mean, it's interesting because, you know, so Jessica, our family, we're from Panama. So, you know, we can see different things, you know, we can see things from a different perspective, you know, from another country outside looking in, as well as, but we both were born and raised here in the United States. So,
as military, so we moved around the world as well.
Moved around the world. And I tell the story all the time that I find it interesting. One of the reasons, you know, I'm dark, I'm black, you know what I mean? But
no.
Let the cat out the bag.
You're black? You're black.
I'm black. Surprise, everybody, I'm black. So, but traveling, you know, like growing up in a military community, you know what I mean? It was like, you know, you're a military brat. Then we traveled. We went to, you know, I mean, there was racism, of course, but it wasn't as blatant, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, then we went to Hawaii, and Hawaii has, you know, its own forms of racism going on. You know what I mean? Which is completely different than the mainland.
Black is worldwide. Worldwide.
Yes.
White people ain't the only race that hates black people.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, so then we went to New Orleans. And then we went to New Orleans. We didn't fit in there either because we were like more, Panamanian, and we weren't from the hood. You know what I mean? So we had a struggle. I remember at that time I was like 13, 14 going through puberty. I had a very hard struggle.
Right.
What'd
you say, Matthew?
I said personally, or
right, culture. We talking about culture. Or we talking about personal issues.
Oh man.
But yeah, but I mean, overall, one thing I do appreciate about America, and I don't think it's much. It's not like Germany's much different, but is that there seems to be at least an allowance of people to say what they want to say. You know what I mean? And it's through that a lot of good can come, man. You know what I mean? A lot of people expressing themselves and ideas being circulated, and you know what I mean? I know it seems tough, but I think our future is bright. A lot of people want to make these doomsday scenarios and conspiracy theories, and it's like, look, if you look at the history of humanity, you know what I mean? There's been horrible, dark times. I'm sure that during the Black Plague, when 1/3 of humans were eradicated off the planet, everybody thought that was the end of the world too. You know what I'm saying? Earlier than that, something big happened that everybody thought was the end of the world. But it's like humans are resilient, and I do think that we are moving towards a globalized world that's going to be more connected than ever before. And I think, a lot of people won't agree with this now, but we have to stop the nationalism for all countries. You know what I mean? Even our own. We have to realize that people are humans across the world, across the globe, that the planet needs to be taken care of as a unit together.
Okay.
These are the bigger issues that we have to deal with, but they can't be dealt with until all this ugly, nasty shit underneath or taken care of or something. You know what I mean? It's like,
because every country has its own battles too. They have their own inner battle. You know what I'm saying? So internationally, it's hard to develop international unity when individually each country you're still dealing within yourself. You know what I'm saying? So aliens attack. Yeah. So some people, since we brought up race, right? And my kids are mixed race. They're Panamanian and Puerto Rican. Would you say that mixed race is almost the new normal?
I think mixed race outnumbers anything else on the planet. Like mixed race outnumbers anything else on the planet. Most races are already mixed, but way back in the history of wherever. So you know what I mean? I think I absolutely agree with that. I think in probably shorter than we think. Along with globalization, race is going to become melded into one thing, anyways, as well. Yeah.
Right. So
up first.
Now to play devil's advocate, right? So for those like the white nationalists and stuff like that, do they have a legitimate fear then? If
they're not wrong when they say their race is English. You know what I'm saying? They're wrong in thinking they can do something about it. Like this is just the natural order of the world, and there's a level of that's like statistical facts is that white people are the minority of the planet. They may be the minority of this country, but they're the minority of the planet. You know what I'm saying? And it's getting less and less. And again, that shouldn't start a race war. It's like, eventually every race is going to be the minority. You know what I mean? Like mixed race and brown, beige people are going to be the majority of everything, but in a long enough timeline, But there was things created historically by white people that created the landscape that we have now that need to be rectified, that need to be addressed, that need to be changed. We still have an education system that is like 200 years old. 200 years old. We're still doing the same things in schools that they were doing 200 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Before a telephone existed. So it's like we have some big changes we need as a society, man. And we need to look at everything different, not just race and gender, but our systemic structures, the way we teach, the way we eat, the way we all of it, you know. And that's the thing. The young generation knows that, and they're not playing. They're just going to do it. You know what I mean? And we can get with it or get left behind, like the old people now. Yeah. The only thing is, the old people now got the power. I do feel like we're feeling this kind of final death grip of like this ugly
last stand.
Clinging on to this last, you know what I mean? And that's why it feels so violent and volatile. But it's just, I wrote a poem about it. It's called Death Throes. You know what I mean? And like death throes are what the body does when it's about to die. It just fucking spazzes out. And that's kind of what you're seeing on the national level with like white supremacy, patriarchal capitalism. You know what I'm saying? It's just, people aren't with it no more. The system is outdated and it's trying to desperately to maintain power, but it can't, you know?
Wow.
Preach. I love it. Dropping knowledge.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to me ramble, man. I might have to drink with my interviews a little bit more. I felt way more open.
Yeah, we like this happy hour.
Yeah. So I actually thought about it in a weird way. I was out shopping and I found this book called Complete the Story. And it gives you like 150, I don't know if you guys can see it, like 150 like blank stories that they start out. And I'm reading it, I'm like, what would actually Dennis write down? Like it gives you like this whole like situation scenario, and all of a sudden like you have like this whole like free form to do like whatever you want to do. And I'm like, what would Dennis write in here? So I bought it and I was like, okay, I need to just like grab it because I love doing script writing and everything. So I'm like, you know, this is a great tool to just like get you out of like, you know, a writer's block or out of like whatever situation you're sitting in, like negativity, or I wouldn't say traffic because it's a bad idea, but so like wherever you're at, it's like such a good idea. And I was like, this is a great way to just like inspire, you know, especially your kids and everything who have creative writer's block. And I'm just like, he could like take one of these lines and just like rip it apart.
Yeah, he'll probably rip the whole book.
Man, so thank you, man. It's an honor to be heard, man. It's an honor to have a platform. It's an honor to be heard, yo.
Absolutely.
So next, we actually have a surprise. Starr is going to perform a poem for us, and
no, I'm not. I'm lying. It's so funny. I used to write poetry, but I can't. I don't.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Starr.
Well, how about you dope rapper, Rob? Give us one of your dope raps. I really think everyone needs to hear it.
Putting bars.
90s. So it's old school. I got the grade, you know what I'm saying? But
I'm the king of rock. There is none higher. Sucker MC.
There you go, like that. There you go. Well, let me tell you, I'll do something. So I'll show like an example just to go back to what you were talking about the flow and my style. Like I used to actually write them down, and the physical, the way that they looked on paper had a form, and the way I delivered them had a form, and I could rap them or I could say them as poetry. You know what I mean? And you know, back then I was trying to, you know, I did a lot of this is my friend from middle school.
Oh.
You know rap. What's up, Chico?
That's okay. I'm to make you rap now.
I used to put it all together. You know what I mean? But I was afraid to, you know, I didn't want to be a poet, so I used to, you know, hide them under rap. So this is something I did for the Board of Education in North Carolina. So I'll do it in poetry form, part of it, and then I'll show you how I switched it up. So without an education, a decent conversation would be out of the question. But what kind of profession do you think that you'll be getting? But hold up, you're forgetting that the person that you marry will also have to carry the burdens of paying the many, many bills while you're flipping burgers. Now, how would that feel? Then bad enough when the children come, you'll understand where I'm coming from. Study your books, stay in school, and do the best you can, unless you plan to just be a garbage man. But come on, brother, you're better than that, so go to school to learn, not just to chat. Don't let peer pressure hold you back, because instead of cool, you might end up whack. Whether you're red or you're yellow or you're white or you're black, we're all God's children. That's a matter of fact and not opinion. Yes, the beat is swinging. Swing the Pop-Tarts, you got to have the smarts. For smarts, you have to study. And you can do it, buddy. Peace. So that was like that's how that was my style. And if I was to rap it, then I'll just pick up the tempo.
Yeah.
So without an education, a decent conversation, with what kind of profession do you think that you'll be getting? And all of you forgetting that the person that you marry will also have to carry the burdens of paying the many, many bills while you're flipping burgers. Now, how would that feel? Then bad enough when the children come. You'll understand where I'm coming from. Study your school, study your books, stay in school, and do the best you can. Unless you plan to just be a garbage man, become a brother. You're better than that, so go to school to learn, not just to chat. Don't let peer pressure hold you back, because instead of cool, you might end up whack, whether you're red or you're yellow or you're yellow or the back. We're all God's children, and that's no matter of fact, not opinion. I forgot. See,
I did a reverse version of that for my first slam. I had 2 poems I had memorized, and then I just took a rap that I had written and memorized and slowed it really down, real slow.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So the opposite.
So I got to do one more then, because my wife's going to ask me about it. So I wrote one to her when we were dating, right? And so the way that I wrote it, that it spells Jennifer, writing down. So the first letter in every bar, it starts with a letter, her name. So like this. This is like when we were dating. I wrote this. Join me on a mission, better yet, on a quest for love. That's the J. E, every night and day is you that I'm thinking of. Right? And nobody needs to know where our mission takes us to, and nobody needs to know except for me and you. Infinite couldn't measure the pleasure that we share together. Be all your worries for is you that I'll be with forever. E, enter my zone and come home to my fantasy. Or release your heart and spend the rest of your life with me. Yeah, so that was it. Yeah, Jennifer. So
okay.
that's how, you know what I'm saying. So I used to put everything so I could write it out, but rhyme it, break it down. There you go.
Down on them.
But Jessica can't snap.
That's a no.
Whatever. I ain't trying to. I'm not taking the bait.
Listen, we gonna stop the show until Jessica actually snap. I want to hear Jessica snap.
Nope. My hands are tired now.
Everybody can snap, except for Jessica.
I'm tired.
You over here snapping and sound like 2 Triscuits.
Yo, hey, look, I'll tell you the secret right now, Jessica. This is the secret that nobody's gonna tell you. Ready? The sound doesn't come from your finger, right? The sound comes from your middle finger slapping your palm.
Okay, right.
Oh,
so this is the wrap up.
That was loud. All right.
Oh, she did it. Okay. This is the first time.
Robin talking trash.
Jessica could not. I don't know where she learned how to snap from. She just. And I got Matthew got some fat palms, so that's why his snap's so loud. See. All right, so we're gonna get back to the show. So Starr, now it's your turn. It's your turn to do it. You're not really Starr. You really not? No, not snap. I want to hear some porn.
Flick with it.
Oh snap!
Oh snap!
Next.
Yes.
Oh man. So Dennis.
Yo.
So tell me about your experience about the with the Fusion Fest. How was that for you? And that's to me is like a real amazing celebration, man. And you've been doing it. I know the last 2 years. You've been doing it all 3 years, or
I think so. Yeah, I've done it every year that they had it. Yeah, since the first one.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on it? Your experience? How's that been?
I mean, I'm a fan of it. I like it. You know what I mean? I have my critiques. You know what I mean? But I'm glad it exists. I think if nothing else, they do bring in authentic people from their cultures. You know what I mean? And I think bringing everybody into one place like that, it creates an opportunity for poets to get paid. I'm always here for that in general. It's good. It's a beautiful thing, man. Like I said, and I get to experience cultures I never even thought of, tried to experience, or you know what I mean. And it puts you in a cool place where you get to really explore your boundaries, and not have to like travel too far or anything like that. So I'm here for it in concept. I do think, I mean, again, I don't think it's terrible in any way. I did have a few critiques. I think, you know, the choir singing "Reach Out, Overcome" was a little much at the end there. You know, outside of that, you know, I think it's really good. It was really good event, man. I think everybody should come out to it. It's amazing. There's a lot of really good talent. Seeing the river dance from the Ireland girl.
That was dope.
I've seen that before in real life, so that was cool. You know, it was dope, man. And they showed a lot of love to black people and black culture in this one, so I thought that was cool too. Even if it was a little misplaced sometimes, but
and the last question for you, the poetry. So at the Fusion Fest, I met a lot of you guys, and it seems like you all know each other. So tell us a little bit about the poetry scene in Orlando, Central Florida. You know, I know you're in Tampa. What's the scene like? Is there a lot of people? Is it a tight-knit community?
Orlando, if you are into poetry and you want to do poetry, Orlando's a great city to do it in. They have never, I mean, I do live in Tampa, but they showed me so much love. They have a lot of love for the art. They create a lot of spaces that are focused on that, on helping people get better in their craft, to push people to another levels. You know, they host a slam. There's a page on Facebook called the Orlando Poetry Group or something along those lines. It's run by Eddie Figures. But yeah, I mean, we are all close because we all traveled the country and competed against each other. When I come to Orlando, those are the people that book me and put me on. And when they come to Tampa, it's, you know, I mean, the same other way. I mean, to be honest, they've booked me, you know what I mean, a lot in Orlando. I think I'm very grateful to them, man. I think they have a strong but that's how the poetry, it's like this underground network a little bit across the country. Like the beautiful thing about it is, like, I've been doing this for 9 years. I've developed relationships. I could be in any major city in the country and hit up one or two people and have a safe place to stay. Somebody's gonna look out for me, and maybe even things to spit on that I can make some money on. You know what I mean? And so, like, that is invaluable. And I think on the one hand, there isn't, you know, there isn't this great giant economic love for spoken word, like in the same way that there's for comedy or for hip hop, where you can do these grand things. But there is avenues to make a career out of it. And there's a beautiful network of artists across the country that will support you in your journey and help you get up and help you get be better. You know what I mean? And I think that's invaluable, man. That's one of the greatest things that I got out of this all. As much as I love poetry, it's the network and the relationships of these amazing poets. And like, now they're poets, so these are people who are tapped into the pulse of their cities. They know what's going on. They're into the politics. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, so because of that, you start becoming very you start becoming a lot closer to the heartbeat of, you know what I mean? It sounds dramatic, but the heartbeat of revolution. You know what I mean? Like you feel a lot closer to, you feel more connected because just one or two people removed from direct front lines of what's happening. You know what I'm saying? And so, and that's another thing too. Like, you get direct information that you know is not biased by some media slant. You know what I mean? From what's going on. So it's a lot. Anyways, I got way off subject, but all that. The poetry community is great. You know what I mean? Orlando's poetry community is great. Tampa, our poetry community is great. So definitely support the poetry community. They're doing a lot of great things, and they're trying to push this art form out there, and they're being successful at it. So, yeah, that's what's up.
So I just dropped the website again. Amadeus.com. What were you saying, Matthew?
Sorry. I love to talk a lot. So what suggestions would you give to people who are like wanting to start out into like the poetry scene, who are kind of like intimidated by, like, you know, the people who are more senior to more invested into it?
Bro, pardon my French, but fuck that shit, dog. Like, listen to me, man.
I thought you spoke German.
The biggest. Oh, good. Like, the biggest. Yo, you know why I was so successful? Because I jumped in. I didn't give a damn. I just happened to be at the great moment in my life where I didn't care. I was like, I had a message to say. I'm gonna say this. This is the stage where I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna say it with all the passion I can. If you follow those rules, if you know what I mean, like, you can't get caught up in what other people think. And at the same time, we're gonna feel good when other people think positive about us, right? And yeah, that's kind of part of why we do it. But like at the end of the day, it's an art form, bro. Like you have to express yourself. People love the expression. You know what I mean? So many people come into this art form as a business, and it's not that. You can turn it into a business eventually, but you have to honor the craft, bro. You have to honor the craft. You have to honor the community. You have to honor yourself. Why are you doing this art form? And even I sometimes forget that. I just had a talk with a poet not too long ago. I'm trying to make a book, and he had to remind me, like, yo, what are you writing this book for? So people could say you're a good poet. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that what you're doing? Because that's what it sounds like. And I'm like, damn, yo, that is what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And it's like, all right, well, what do I really want to write? Well, I really want to write this. I want to write about my family and where I come from, and I want to write about blah, 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 blah. And my fear was that nobody would give a damn about that. And I needed to write topical poems and you know what I mean, over the top, dramatic, deep poems about death and horrible things so that people pay attention to it. You know what I mean? And it's like, yo, be true to yourself, man. The best advice I can say is come in. If you want to do poetry, come in and do your poetry. And then after you did that, then deal with the rest of it. Don't come in trying to be friends and be cool and popular. Do poetry. Because the cool, popular kids love the art. And if they see that you love the art, they're going to fuck with you because you love the art. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, okay, I'm done.
Drop the mic. Drop the mic.
It's so crazy. It's like people love these people because they're so true to the art. And then for some reason, other people come in and say, I want to be like that, so I'm not going to be myself. Where was that example set? Right. Where was that example set? Because the example I see is that he was himself so naturally that people were drawn to that. You know what I mean? Or herself or whoever, you know? So anyway, that's my thing. Be yourself, love the art, and everything else will come, man.
That's what's up.
Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dennis Amadeus, thank you so much for coming in, man. Thank you for dropping that knowledge and teaching. Thank you for teaching my sister how to snap. Appreciate you, man. So stay healthy, stay safe, and stay fierce, my brother.
For sure, man. Thank y'all so much for having me, man. And keep doing y'all thing. It's a great platform, man. Much love.
Well, we got to have you back.
Anytime.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. And shout out to my middle school best friend, Chico Smooth. That was my rap name, Slick Robbie Fresh.
How did he remember that? Wow.
I don't know how he remember that, but he was Chico Smooth. I was Slick Robbie Fresh.
Because nobody wanted it.
Huh?
Because nobody wanted it. That's why you remember.
I was a mixture of Slick and Robbie Fresh. So it was Slick Robbie Fresh. That was it. Oh my goodness. So you guys, man, this is our last show for the holiday for the year, right?
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah. Unless we squeeze one in, I might, you know, I'm talking to some people that want to be interviewed. Yeah, we're talking to some people that want to be interviewed. They're about to drop some big stuff. That's heart-wrenching and is big news in the community. So might squeeze another show depending on you guys' schedule. But man, what are your plans for the rest of the year? If we don't see you guys.
Cool.
Go
ahead, Matthew.
I was just gonna say, like, I really don't have any plans. I mean, all of my holidays are over with. The only thing I can say is, like, I have a lot of, like, photo series that I'm, like, posting on my Instagram and everything.
Yeah. Speaking of.
There you go.
Yes. Somebody's been stalking your Instagram. So tell us about that.
So this has been like an annual thing. This is actually my second year doing this, and it's just been a really creative thing that I've been doing. It's just, you know, like a lot of people don't know a lot about like history, and you know, if you know a lot about me, like you know how much I love about history and just being nosy about different things. So I created last year was like my first one of like the Hanukkah through the ages. And then this year is like my second one. Like a lot of people ask me like, are you gonna do it this year? Are you gonna do this year? And I'm like, Yeah, I guess so. And then I had to like go through like all my old photos, and, like videos and everything. Like, what do I not like replicate? But I always have to start like with the first one because it's always gonna be the same one that's like I'm gonna have to replicate. But I have to find like a different like bit of that to like launch everything off with that. And then after that, it's just like it's so much fun. Usually when I get like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when I have a lot more fun.
Well, do you want to tell us what each one is? Like run through them?
Yeah, let's go for it. So the first one on the top left-hand corner is actually the beginning of like the Hanukkah like history, which is like 165 or 164 before Common Era, which on the Jewish calendar is like before Christ. The second one so basically we're going to go from left to right. Then we have Jesus in I think Nazareth, or actually Bethlehem, celebrating Hanukkah in his own way. Then we have medieval. I don't really know the time frame for that one. And that's going to be like European. Then we have and I found like an interesting thing about like, my history of like Jewish culture is like, we actually had some like family in India, called like the Khakri, the tribe. So those are in India. And then we get into, I think, the Pogroms in Pogrom, not Pilgrims, in Russia Empire. There's a lot of like situations going on with that. A lot of drama, a lot of like whatever. And then I found like in Irish history, because my family is Irish and Jewish and also Native American, so I found like the Irish aspect of it really interesting. Daniel O'Connor actually stood up for the Jewish community, saying, for Irish people, saying that they, brought into Ireland, why not accept the Jewish community as well as one of their people? So that was really interesting. And then we get to the 1970s.
Yes.
Look at that fro.
I love that fro. It's probably my favorite one. Just the big hair, don't care.
No, ma'am. And I will say, like, when I do the photos, they're not in order. A lot of them, like, my secret is depending on like what my facial hair is doing. So I'll actually photograph them out of sequence, how my facial hair is. So if I have a fuller beard and everything, I'll actually photograph that first. So yeah, so
very nice.
So going with the 1970s is actually 1973. One of the rabbis actually, forced Nixon, I think, into have, or not, I'm going to say forced. I don't want to like hate mail. Just
no forcing.
Because the menorah is supposed to be like a public thing, because we actually traditionally supposed to, put it in the window so everybody can see it. So there's like, okay, well, the justification is we need everybody to see it. So they put on the Washington front lawn. I think 1979 was like the first year. And then the last photo was COVID, because it was like,
COVID.
Why not? So it's like,
there you go. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
So then right now I'm doing the Christmas Carol. So I'm doing that until the 24th of December. So enjoy that.
Oh, okay. So we keep watching.
Keep watching.
Just on your Instagram and see what you got popping.
Yeah, because Rob will probably comment some foolishness on it.
I don't comment. I just wait till you get on air and I ask you my question. So Starr, what do you got going on with your new house?
Yeah.
When are we coming over?
Yeah, so I have the week off for the 24th through the 4th off. So ideally, before I move in, because I don't move in till after the first of the year, because I still have my apartment. I would like to like maybe find someone to help lay down tile or something, because there's some carpet in there. I want to get rid of it. Things like that, those kind of projects. It is an older home, so I'll need to get a handyman to do things.
It's a lot of work during your break.
Homeowner stuff now. Okay, my brunches might be cut into one day a weekend, or maybe one every 2 weekends.
Brunch, get a brunch at home and invite people.
Hey, we're coming over.
All right.
Robert, free food.
Right.
Oh, man. Hey, if there's chicken wings, I'll be there.
Well, we can bring.
Oh man. So Jess, what's your plan? What's going on?
Man, my plan basically do a lot of catching up, closing out the year, catch up, clean up. Might do a lot of social media posting, things like that. Wrapping up the year.
What's Jaden doing?
Yeah.
What is he doing? Well, I have plans for him. I want him to work on. So our little DJ, our little fierce DJ Savage, he had one of his first interviews. You know, every once in a while he'll go work. He's a junior broadcaster on Peace on the Street Radio, and so he had an interview last night or the night before last. And I want him to work on his interview skills because there was a little girl like doing an interview, and he was giving like one word answers. Like, oh, what do you do? Oh, well, I blend beats. Oh, well, you know, it's like, all right, tell a story. So after seeing that interview, I'm like, all right, Julie, during this winter break, we're going to practice interviewing. So we'll be doing a lot of that, just sharpening his skills, practicing. For Christmas, he's going to get his logo, his whole branding package. So maybe do a photo shoot with that.
Yes.
So good things like that.
We need to have him on the show as a guest.
Yes, I didn't get him ready so he can interview.
A 15-minute spot. He needs to get himself together.
Get him ready.
Interview skills ready, yeah. Oh man.
So what about you, Rob?
Me? Oh man, probably just some more work around the house. You know what I mean? I've been getting a lot of stuff done around the house since due to COVID. And what I've actually found that I found that it's been good therapy for me because I do have anxiety. I'd never admit that to people, but that just doing some work around the house has been good for me, like good therapy. And then, yeah, man. So it's just been good. It's just been good to, I've been learning through the VA how to meditate, and been doing some meditation skills, Tai Chi. Been practicing Tai Chi, practicing Qigong. So it's basically controlling the energy, controlling your Qi, and using it. So it's pretty good stuff. So I've been so that's my goal is to study more, get more familiar with Tai Chi, Qigong, both crafts, and then do some more around the house.
You gonna work on that recipe so it doesn't look like
like Santa's chimney surprise.
Hey. No lie, this is a video. What you said? My mother came in and she started like. Better not throw up on my recipe. Better not. But yeah, if you're just tuning in, and I wanted my own hot chocolate, so I melted some chocolate in the pot, threw some almond milk in there, and some spiced rum.
What you need to get is one of those little mini crock pots. They're like this big around, and you just put all of like the chocolate. So when I did the little the donuts that I made for Hanukkah with like the chocolate bits on them, I get the little crock pot. It's like that big around. You can just like put all the chocolate bits in, and you just like heat it up. It takes about 30 minutes. And you just like dip them right on in there, and there's no burning. Because if you try to do it on the stove, and if you burn that chocolate, you're not gonna get that burn out of the pan, and then two, like the chocolate's not gonna taste good.
Oh,
look at that!
Not burnt.
Yeah,
we can't tell.
It's dark chocolate. It's not milk chocolate. It's dark chocolate with rum. So so much for that. So my chocolate is good, but it made it's like as thick as hell, man. So those of you guys that's been tuning in, thank you so much for your support. Once again, I want to remind you guys to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're still trying to hit that goal of reaching 500 subscribers. That's what we're trying to get. And so go to at Fierce Entertainment. check out. We had tons of footage of our, previous episodes. We got some of our, footage from our past shows, and we're going to be dropping a lot more content over the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
I mean,
sure.
the next 2 weeks.
The next 2 weeks, last 2 weeks of the year.
Yep.
Check us out.
So you guys at home, stay healthy, stay safe, and stay fierce.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Merry Fiercemas.